All righty, Steiny and Guru joined by Dan Dibley and Mark Willard.
Yeah.
Hey, gentlemen, how are you?
Hi, boys.
I told you Bart's story then started.
I hadn't heard it. I hadn't heard it. Did you tell it on the air?
I told it on the air.
That's courageous of you, Steiny.
Your writing's on the wall.
I've had conversations.
Fait accompli.
I had people come up to me on the street to ask me about you today, too. I won't.
You're going to make it worse.
I'll tell you.
Willard, we didn't need that.
Well, no.
Is Steiny really as big of a jerk as he seems on
And you
radio?
won't elaborate on the air?
I'm asking.
I will to you, but we'll wait until it's just me and you.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
No, I won't elaborate on the air. I get asked about you guys all the time. What's he like? What's he like?
Guy.
What's he like? What's he like? I'm like, they're all terrible.
They're all the same horses' asses there are on the radio.
They're all awful, and that's why I don't let any of them speak.
Well, last time I seen you guys, you went over the odds on the suspension.
Isn't that unbelievable?
And indefinite was not on the board.
No, but
it hit me.
I wonder if you bet on it.
That's what I want.
No,
Yeah.
I would think you get your money back.
No, I would think we wait and see how
Yeah,
long
that's what I
actually
You
is.
gotta wait. You
Oh,
gotta wait.
whoa.
At a certain point, right?
So I'm
Right?
still in
I
it at
need
3
my money
games.
back, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like your chances.
I hate him. I hate him.
You might
Yeah,
get trouble.
if he's back next weekend, I'll pay you whatever you
Yeah.
want.
But your guys' thoughts, like,
Well, my thoughts right now, if you were going to sculpt the odds in terms of what we know now, 1 to 10 is probably 50
Almost
to
off
1
the
odds.
table.
Exactly.
No doubt.
Yeah.
11 to 20 is probably about where it was.
It's on the table.
I honestly think that 21 to 30 is where the sweet spot is, which is where the odds makers had it originally. But
They know.
exactly, they know.
and I know the hardest.
They know.
They know. Why are the Niners favored? They know.
Right, they're just better, Mark.
They know.
And why is Draymond out indefinitely? Because the league knows, and the league is better. And, Draymond, and I liked what you said, Goo. I'm kind of in your camp more than I am in Camp Steiny in terms of Draymond coming back. He's not going to change, and he's going to come back, and whatever he does to get through the protocol, it's like the concussion protocol. Do you have a headache? No. Even though my head is split and I can barely open my eyes, I want to play. And he's going to get through what he has to get through, and he'll come back and he'll do exactly what he used to do.
Well,
And they don't get penalized for a year.
Or he
Sure.
won't, and will point to the therapy that he went through for 22 days and act like that actually did
Exactly.
something.
Yes,
He's either going to comply or he's not. But if anybody has ever been through anything therapeutic, I'm sorry, one calendar flip from 1 month to the next.
Ja Morant on line one,
And
even though those were different circumstances.
But that's a
come
joke
on.
also.
No,
It's all a joke. It's all part of the show.
Steiny made a good comp, though, with Chris Mullin, where Chris Mullin, did he choose that on his own, Steiny? Or did the team kind of nudge him toward...
It was,
Famer.
both. Nelly was like, dude, I think you may have an issue. Nelly.
Right,
Nelly.
exactly.
Nelly
Ironic.
says it to
Exactly.
you.
And Mully was like, I think I do too.
So Chris goes away, and he
Right.
comes back, but when he came back, he was able to continue to do the work. And
Correct.
I still
Yeah.
believe he's sober, and
He
it's
is,
been now
as far as-
18, 22, whatever the number
year.
is. So he was able to go in and put in the work and come back and get better. But the problem with Draymond is what he has to do when he comes back is endemic to what his problem is. Because the reason why he's so good is because he is Draymond. And part of being Draymond is having these issues, anger issues, violence issues,
But the
whatever they
verbal's
are.
okay. It's the physical.
Well, I do kind of side with Steiny here, and I hate to say that because
Look, I can
of
see
our,
that.
Not good for your brand.
of our relationship.
Yeah.
It's not good for my ongoing brand, but the verbal leads to the physical. And especially now more than ever where, okay, he's out for 11, 17, 24, 33, whatever the number is. When he comes back, every opponent is going to goad him more than ever before. They're going to try to get his goat.
DK
Like
Metcalf.
Shanahan. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, but he did it for so long without, we always were like, oh, he rides the line. Yeah, you got to come back and ride the line. And quite frankly, I don't think that's as hard as it sounds.
I agree.
Draymond can come back and be Draymond. Just don't choke people and whack them upside the head. Stop acting like that's part of hoops. It's not. I love what Kevin Durant said.
And it was,
that's
man.
not the guy that I played with. This is different. I mean, we've all said it, and I've been at the front of the line. Like, yeah, this is him, but then taking it to these acts, it is a different level. This has been a different version of him.
But why?
It's got to go. I don't know.
And I think about Antonio Brown. Was Antonio Brown suddenly, quote unquote, crazy? Or did he get to a point where his skills had eroded so much?
Perfect hit him hard, man. And I'm just saying,
you're right.
Cincinnati gave him back. He was never the same.
He wasn't. But, more and more as he got worse as a player, this became more prevalent. His behavior.
And what if
I never saw him slip like that, Dibs. He still was a baller.
What if he, as he's getting older, also, what if right now it just so coincides that he's got more stress off the court with something than he's ever had?
Maybe.
Possible.
I think all of these are fair points. Let me add another. The reason that this happens, I think, later in guys' career, these stars that we're talking about, is that they are empowered in ways now that they weren't 7 years ago in their careers. They are now much richer. They are a much, much bigger name. They actually, Steiny, don't have the stress that maybe they had early in their career when they're trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying to get a big contract. Draymond is now on what? Is this his second or his third nine-figure deal?
Second.
Okay, second
nine-figure deal. The last one was $99 million, but I know what you're saying.
Does that mean he can't have stress? Of course not. But this is why rock bands don't usually last 50 years. Because each personality becomes its own individual brand, and they become bigger and bigger and bigger, and each of them are aware of their own standing within it, and they get to a point where those interests are no longer common.
Steiny made that point, Willard.
Yeah, they're too big for each other.
But with other dynasties, we watch them get old. Draymond's not showing up to the concert.
Yeah,
this is different. Let's watch you age out. Then it's okay.
But each band member does it in his own way. Clay is having his own journey that's negative. Okay, Steph. I mean, that's a little bit more subtle, but he's clearly frustrated with. We saw the video the other night. That's not normal for Steph Curry. The frustration that he's showing. It's to me that's where this is. We got a rock band, the Beatles, what have you, and they're about to break up.
And that's interesting. That's the first time I thought about it like this. Is let's put all three of the big three together. So if you have Curry, okay, we know what his demeanor is. Yeah, I did see him kick a chair.
Right.
He kicked a chair the other night.
All right.
Well, that's escalated from normal stuff.
Yep.
Klay Thompson, and his issues have escalated.
Totally.
And so have Draymond's. What's the common denominator?
Age.
Father time.
Age.
Undefeated.
Losing.
Yeah.
He is undefeated.
Losing.
Yeah.
Losing.
He finally got Tom Brady. It took a while, but
their bodies are not doing what they want their bodies to do, and their team is not doing what they wanted to do.
And this is my line. I don't think I've ever seen Draymond Green, and I'm not blaming him, take the ball out of the hoop more than I've seen in the last couple of years. And you can't tell me he knew the big bear Nurkic was behind him, what it was going to take to try to box him out. He was frustrated, and whoopsie-doopsie, that was on purpose. That's just me. But come on, man, that was frustration.
It all is.
To me, it was not whoopsie-doopsie.
It all is.
At all. I mean.
The skedaddle. But, wow.
I spin 180, and I clock him perfectly in the jaw.
I mean,
saying, man, how could I punch somebody so accurately?
We saw your other
we've seen
one.
it. Yeah. You're pretty good at it.
Yeah.
You're pretty good at it.
I wonder, and it's only because he's brand new and hasn't had a chance to have something go sideways, or maybe we just don't know him well enough. But Chris Paul is probably going through the exact same thing. And on this is a microcosm of the other things that we're talking about. But why was he snappy in his first interview? It's all the same reason. It's like, I'm going to arrive somewhere, and your first question is going to be about me coming off the bench when I've never done it before.
Wow.
It's all coming from the same place. You're all getting older. Man. You're all less effective, and you're all having to face these issues at the same time. And it's not easy. It's a perfect Bart story today.
Wow.
It's perfect.
So with that said,
getting older stinks.
With that said, I need some help early. I was drowning because the Chris Mullen, I got family members. Everybody needs help. Therapy, it's real. I need it. But I said, let's be careful, doctors that are calling saying Dre has a problem when the team has never did anything in regard to discipline. And he went on the pod, this is the one that really hurt me, with Kevin Durant and mocked and said stuff that was behind closed doors with Kerr and Myers on how they wanted to proceed and deal with his spat with Kevin Durant. Like, Dre, that's not good. Look towards your bosses. So with that said, how do we go from he has a problem when the team said, and the coach, and I love you, Kerr, we can't win without that fire. So to me, that's hypocritical.
Well, to me, it doesn't matter if we think he has a problem. The only thing that matters is if he thinks he has a problem. And that's, I've dealt with addiction. We all have in our lives, and whatever the addiction is. And, I've seen it up close and personal in my family. And, you tell somebody, yeah, you need help. And until they want to get help, until they want to admit that they have a problem,
it's real.
Then it's not a problem. And you can tell Draymond all you want about X, Y, Z, all the things he's done, and say, Draymond, you can't do this. You need help. If he doesn't want to get help, then it's a non-starter.
Correct, but they now will say, if you don't get help, you don't play in the NBA anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so now this is that moment of where the employer has said,
no doubt, show up to work.
This is it. Or don't show up to work. Don't show up to work. Show up to rehab and show up to meetings and show up to all these things. And then if you show that you're, really, quote unquote, on the path toward getting better, and it might not be a thing he can ever get better from. And I speak from personal perspective because I have anger issues. And Steiny can vouch for having seen me in.
We work with you. We had a show.
Well,
together.
You haven't seen me.
I'm playing.
You haven't. No, you're right.
Dibs is my dude.
No, you've seen flashes.
Yeah.
And you've seen flashes, and we've all had our moments here in this very room, and the old room, and the room before the room, and I know that I have certain issues, and I know that I have trigger points and flash points, and so for me, as a 55-year-old man, I'm trying to deal with what I deal with in terms of the things that set me off, and I'm trying to avoid those. And when I get in those situations, I'm trying to now be more observant of that. And that's where Draymond is, because there are things about being Draymond Green that lead him to get technicals, flagrants, ejections, and suspensions. So does he want to address it? And does he want to make those adjustments? If he doesn't, well, then he's going to be out of the league. And that's where we are.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union.
Your transparency is real cool, first and foremost. But second of all, it's such a fascinating issue, too, because I bet we all encounter this all the time in our lives. And sometimes it's a very fine line we're walking when it's like, okay, now suddenly today we're going to go Draymond has a problem. When actually what he's doing is really just an extension of who he's always been. It's kind of like have you all ever been through this? Student in school, struggle. Teachers come down on him. School comes down on him, always at the principal's office. One day they show up and go, he's got ADD. And now suddenly, here comes the cavalry of kid has a problem.
Right.
Let's put our arm around them and help them. And I'm not saying that's bad. I don't know. I don't know if he's got a problem. Or
I was just getting ready to ask.
Or do we all have a problem?
But
we've all got a problem
I think
on
there's
some level.
Yeah, I think there's, if we're going to talk about medical, I want to put that off to the side. I think Joe Dumars, after whether it was a punch, and I know he wasn't disciplined by the league, couldn't be disciplined by the league, but I do think this is an extension of the last year and a half, the league saying, Draymond, it can't continue. It can't continue. And it's continued, and now it's gotten to the point where he's not going to play for a while.
What word did Monty Poole use? It's coming fast.
Monty Poole said,
this was like
what the league believes, suspensions don't work with him, that these incidents have gotten worse, and they're occurring they never have occurred at a rate this high.
That's where we're at.
Right. His last 26 games, stomp, choke, punch. Stomp, choke, punch. And that's only 26 games of on court. The stomp was last year. He came back and played 6. Man. This year there was the choke, and then now there's the punch. So Monty's right in terms of the frequency. Punch.
The punch 2.
Well, the first punch was more than 26 games ago. I'm talking about the frequency. No.
Okay.
Stomp, choke, punch.
Fair.
In the last 26 games he played of actual NBA basketball. Forget the Jordan Poole thing. Yeah. Because that's a whole year ago.
Let's put that right on the table. What about the team moving forward, Atco, without Draymond? I'm not in the camp they're done. I'm in the camp of I'm watching, but where are you at? Like, can this thing, what were your expectations?
Well, and I hate to say this because I'm a Warrior fan and I'm doing radio with a guy who is very positive, but I hate to say this, but I'm more in camp Steiny of they were already done. Because I think about no Draymond, and you already have no Wiggins.
Well, we don't now. Without him being there, we don't know what we're going to get.
Daryl.
If there's something,
and I'll say Daryl because I'm serious.
Okay, then what about when he comes back?
Daryl, he played.
We'll deal with that then.
He played 15 minutes last game because he stinks. So you've got no Draymond and you've got no Wiggins, and you kind of wish you didn't have a Clay.
Okay, can I ask you
what are we
a
left
question?
with?
What does done mean?
Done means 37 and 45, and you're the 11 seed, and hey,
I'm not there.
Time to watch college basketball.
See, but for me, there's got to be a middle ground because, first of all, before they won their title less than 2 years ago, many had this exact same statement. No.
Different circumstances.
So much stronger.
Go ahead, Mark. You're right. Nobody's
the start of the comment. Said it about Tiger Woods before he came back and won majors. So
a major,
fine. Okay. But again, I want to define done because then you win the championship and you come back last year and they lose a playoff series with the big 3 healthy for the first time in their lives. Okay. But what does that mean? Does that mean done? In other words, have we reached such a level of championship or bust mentality because it's the Warriors that we're not here for them even just being a playoff competitor?
Steve Kerr said a week ago he thought it was a championship.
Correct.
So that's what they're striving
said that
for.
last year, and then as soon as they lost, they couldn't find a microphone fast enough to say we never thought we were a championship team.
Right.
So no different than the NBA now saying Draymond has a problem. It's a bunch of BS. What the league is saying is we're not having an employee do that. They're not saying Draymond has a problem. They're saying he's our problem. Get him out of here.
Just getting back to the championship, and what does what mean?
Done.
What is done?
Here's what I used yesterday.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere. That's what I said. And I don't feel like they went anywhere last year. Now,
I thought last year was worth something.
Well,
after what they had to overcome, and they got to the second round.
I thought last year was the evidence that we needed that, you know what, it's not going to work. They're done. But Steiny, everything went wrong. Yes, and I look at everything going wrong as a sign they're done. Okay, they're going to come back and do it again. Now they're here right now. I'm not saying they can't get to the playoffs or they maybe can win a series, but I am at the point now where it's championships, because that's I don't know, Mark. Is it okay for the Warriors to go 43-39 this year and they lose in a 7-game series to the Kings?
Again, is it okay? I mean, I don't know. Do we protest?
I'm fine with it.
It's fine.
I'm fine with it.
Curry is not.
That to me is evidence of them being done.
Steph Curry would not be happy with that.
Of course not. But Steph Curry's not going to be happy with anything short of a championship because of where he's been and who he is. But I guess my point, I'm not saying that's okay. If you're 6 seed, that's fine. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, in moments like this, we come out and go, they're done. And I would go, you didn't think they were going to win anyway. There was no point. Even preseason last year and this year, nobody who was really clear-headed and analytical would say that they thought the Warriors were going to win it all. And then they don't. And we go, they're done. It's but done doing what?
Championships. When I say, that's what I mean.
Okay. They're done winning 8 playoff games in a singular
opponent.
They're done making the conference championship.
That's what 4 titles brings. You know what I mean?
I also know a lot of people who are okay with that.
That's
like this is an inevitable, understandable result.
Right, and I think it is too.
Did they need to double down for 4 more years? Fair conversation.
Right. Wow. But I do think
it's conversation.
And you know what? My goal for this season, if I would have been the Warriors, was come into the season, see if you can get it right, and go one round further. Can you beat the Lakers this year? That team that, okay, well, at that point, you're back to the Western Conference Finals, and you can still say, what do we do to get over the top? We're right there again. Okay, that didn't happen. Like, after all that's happened.
Yeah.
I think the days of saying, they're not a championship team. This isn't a championship team. It doesn't mean you quit.
Let me ask it a different way.
Go.
Steph done?
Of course not.
That's all I'm worried about.
But the days of Steph alone making this a championship team are
happen,
over.
though,
so then I would argue that it's not done.
Right.
Because we could get to the end of this year. It's very plausible that Draymond does who knows what in the second half of the year.
Okay.
It's very plausible that Andrew Wiggins is a better version of himself by the end of the year.
All right.
And you decide we're opting out of Chris and we're moving on from Clay.
All right.
You've got a draft pick and money. That's all plausible.
All right. And not a ton of money, Mark.
Not a ton. Not a ton. But could you reboot around Steph? Is that on the table?
I don't think you can reboot enough to make your team.
Well, I wanted to reboot. I wanted to already start the reboot, and then would be closer.
Yeah.
You know.
Go ahead. We've been having fun.
So from that perspective, it's like, no, it's never done. It's what do you do next?
That's why we're watching. But we've been having fun. I'm like, what do you think Lakeup is thinking? Mark Willard and Dan Dibley, before we get out of here, you gave that man that contract, and this is how he paid you back. I would feel betrayed. If you're Lakeup, but you're Mark Willard, how would you feel if you had to deal with this and embark on this stretch without him again?
If I were a billionaire, I would probably be ticked at the league because that's the way they think.
But what? The league didn't choke anybody or...
Doesn't matter. Joe Lacob is about his business, and the league just came in and took one of his
but there
star
was an
performers.
infraction.
You asked me what I would think if I were Joe Lacob.
Oh, you would be at the league instead of Dre.
I don't think that.
Wow. Oh, okay.
But these are stubborn.
Dibs?
These are stubborn, high net worth, very selfish, powerful people who rarely see life through other lenses. Rarely. I guarantee you, I shouldn't say I guarantee, I would bet that there's been a phone call with the league going indefinitely. Excuse me, what the hell does that mean? I've got a business to run.
You would be hot at Dre, I got to believe.
Of course. I
would be too.
I gave,
but I might be mad at the league too.
$100 million. And, you can't fault the league for doing what they did. They could have done this like 2 or 3 times ago. So if I'm Joe Lacob, yes, and I think about it logically, emotionally I'm mad at the league, but logically I'm feeling burned. Man, I gave this guy $100 million.
That's the word.
And this is how you do me? Come on, man.
All right, who you got today, gents?
Ramona Shelburne is going to join us in 20 minutes.
That's awesome. She is among the best.
Yeah, Kerr tomorrow, right? You guys got Kerr tomorrow. That's going to be great.
Is Jared coming on?
We'll see.
Greenberg?
Maybe.
Yeah, I like him.
Find out more details on him and where he came from. He kind of came out of nowhere. I like him, though. On 95.7 The Game.
We have the option in this contract.
There you go.